And now it's time for the mellifluous tones of Commander Witherspoon and his Galnet Digest.
Galnet News Digest, 14th of July, 3306. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, the cloning of Fred blogs. 8 wheels are better than 4. LTD 3 plus 1 times 2 divided by 3. Galnet is gone for good. Turning the dial. A week of disturbing pictures. The cloning of Fred blogs. Brewer Corporation has issued an apology to all its valued customers following an outfitting mix-up. A number of fleet carriers were carrying around partially installed services, which had been paid for, but which didn't work. Brewer Corporation has been working tirelessly to resolve this problem, and on Wednesday all the part-installed modules will become properly installed. In order to run these extra facilities, Brewer has provided an additional crew member to all affected carriers. The crew member in question is called Fred Blogs, and there are going to be quite a few of them, all identical. Brewer has not explained how this was achieved. With the newly installed modules, some fleet carriers may now be over capacity until this is rectified by changing the loadout or by selling cargo or reducing open purchase orders. Other commanders may be unable to sell commodities to the affected fleet carrier and will instead get a transaction cancelled message. The company hopes that affected commanders will continue to use Brewer Corporation as their fleet carrier vendor of choice, even if there were a second supplier. Which there isn't. 8 wheels are better than 4. The elite racers have announced a 7-week series of SRV endurance rallies. Starting on the 26th of July, the Sunday evening races will allow racers to compete directly in a first-to-the-finish-line scramble. The first 10 places are awarded points on a sliding scale, with the overall winner decided on the 25th of October. While some of the races are a modest 40 kilometres, the longest is 280 kilometres, which will certainly test the endurance of both the SRVs and their drivers. There are some arcane rules. Only basic fuel synthesis is permitted, and you must be parked under your recalled ship in order to refuel. The only hull repair technique permitted is to recall and board your ship. Blowing up disqualifies you from the current stage, but if there are other stages on the same night, you are permitted to compete in them. Third-party tools are strictly prohibited. The organisers will accept the word of racers that they've abided by the rules. The elite racers are commanders of their word. Competitors must sign up in advance and turn up at the start line on each of the 7 race days in good time before the start, which will be at 17:30 Galactic time. The organisers have been criticised for permitting only users of the PC control system to take part, but have explained that Xbox and PS commanders are unfortunately invisible to the race marshals. LTD 3 plus 1 times 2 divided by 3. There have been some interesting developments this week regarding low-temperature diamonds. There has been a further discovery of an overlapping low-temperature diamond hotspot around Planet 10 of HIP 4351, leading to considerable relief from orbital traffic controllers at existing sites. Some of the key mining sites and all the systems around have been jammed full of fleet carriers, leading to concerns that the carriers may have been unable to maintain a safe 2 meters distance from each other. However, it also turns out that commanders have been misunderstanding how hotspots work. From Wednesday, the doubling or tripling effect of overlapping hotspots will be dramatically reduced, while the yield at the centre of all hotspots will be doubled, meaning that overlapping hotspots won't be quite as special as they used to be, and mining efforts can be spread out over more systems. Fleet carriers both facilitate mining and make mining necessary, and are considered vital to kick-start the economy. Galnet is gone for good. Key members of the community were left reeling after a spokesperson for the Pilots Federation announced that neither Galnet nor community goals were still on the roadmap, or road plan. This was an escalation of the previous position, that they had been temporarily suspended to allow other more important things to happen first. Commander Alec Turner spoke about Galnet's rotting corpse. Rootsrat and Osric were essentially left without words. Stuart GT explained it was a gradual ratcheting up from no more commander-submitted articles, to a focus only on events affecting commanders, to the stopping of events that Galnet could report on, to a statement saying that all events have been cancelled until fleet carriers arrive, to this most recent statement that Galnet has been stopped indefinitely. However, it may be that the Pilots Federation statement was misunderstood. The spokesperson, Stephen Benedetti, said,
we're looking for some questions. So one question was, what's happening with Galnet? We say this most week, but we know it's a really important thing, so I'm more than happy to explain this each time. That Galnet community goals currently are not in our road plan just now, but if that does change, or if we do decide to bring them back in, we will let you know. It's just why you've not seen anything at the moment.
While very eloquent, this statement is open to the alternative interpretation that reviving Galnet and community goals are not planned in the immediate future, but may happen at some point in the future. In the meantime, we will make up the news, so that the Pilots Federation doesn't have to. Turning the dial. Commentators and strategists have expressed concern over the plans of the Turning the Wheel initiative, ostensibly an attempt to big up the Dark Wheel to persuade them to tell us what they know about the mysteries of Raxxla. It seems possible that there may be another darker motive behind the expansion attempt. The next two goals of the campaign are to get the Dark Wheel to expand to a system very close to Sol, and to the Lave system. The closest system to Sol is Alpha Centauri, the home of Hutton Orbital Radio. And of course the Lave system is home to Lave Radio, which is apparently the hottest show this side of DSO. Far from being an attempt to gain information about Raxxla, it seems at least plausible that Turning the Wheel is actually an attempt to take over Hutton Orbital Radio and Lave Radio by stealth, shutting them down and using their transmitters to broadcast non-stop Elite Week. Following the demise of Galnet, can we allow these other news outlets to be shut down in such a cavalier manner? What will Alvin think? What will Commander Edelweiss do with his evenings if he has no show notes to prepare? The charlatans of Turning the Wheel must be stopped at all costs. A week of disturbing pictures. Commander Vex has discovered a truly unusual life form in the Flyu Groa SO-Z-E0 system this week. It appears to be a mass of tentacles with enormous helmets at the end of each tentacle. In an entirely unrelated vein, Canon Interstellar is attempting to introduce avian unnatural cheese to the galaxy as a rare commodity, created using milk harvested from cockerels. It promises to be worth coming a very long distance to try out. And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.